Hi guys, it's just another poor quality video to show you why I think every household should have one of these, which is a USB connector. This one by Keweisi. I mean, this only costs about £6, that would be about $9. And it's good because these are good for checking your power, how your things are charging up. And it's especially now that in the old days everything was 5 volts and 5 volts and 1 amp, which is 5 watts. Power equals volts times amps, and that's 5 volts and 1 amp would have been 5 watts. But now phones are getting a lot quicker and they're fast charging, and they can do, well, I think the best ones now can do about 50 watts, which is it's hard for me to even comprehend. But so something like this is good to make sure that all your fast charge stuff is working at the rate that you expect. Because if there's anything wrong, if the cable's not good enough, cable has to be good enough for fast charge. It has to be fast charge friendly or whatever. Your charger itself needs to be able to cope. And the device needs, if it's not fast charge, if anything's not fast charge, it's all going to go back to 5 volts and 1 amp, because that's the minimum and that's the default. 5 volts, 1 amp, which equals 5 times 1, 5 watts. Power equals volts times amps. So one of these is good. Here I'll show you it. This is a Samsung Tab A7 tablet. But the thing about this is it's nearly charged, it's 93% charged, so it's not going to go fast charge at that. So it's going to 5 volts, 5.19 volts times 0.44 amps. I think because it's nearly charged, it slows down. My cable and my charger are all capable of doing fast charge to about 2 amps, maybe 6 amps on this one. I think it's a 5 volt charger. 5 volts times 2 amps would be 10 watts. 5 volts times 6 amps would be 30 watts. I've got a head torch on. So it's nearly charged, so it's not a good example. So this one's a bit old fashioned, it's a bit out of dated, but it's still good enough for most devices. Especially things like, your earphones, if you've got mini earphones, because they all use like tiny amounts of voltage or ampage. Well, the cheap ones do anyway. Maybe the expensive ones can do fast charge. Anything that they can't do fast charge, this one in particular is good for, but I would advise getting a new one. The maximum this can do is 8 volts and 3 amps, which would be 24 watts. But so 8 volts, you can get phones that do 12 volts now, so that's that out already. And 3 amps, that's not a lot nowadays. A lot of them, they go for 5 volts and they pump up the amps. So like this one's 5 volts and 6 amps maximum. But now it's better to get the voltage up because I think amps is the current, and I think that's what heats up your cables and stuff. So for fast charge, you're probably looking at quite thick cable because the heat is starting to really gather. I think green means fast charge. And this is for Type A only as well. That's a Type A connection. That's like the first connection there ever was for USB. Type A. It's no use for Type C. As long as your cables get Type A on one side, you can do it. Or you could even just add a connector. You add one of the connectors to it, you can buy them. But looking at this one, you can see Type C doesn't fit. It's got to be Type A. So this is good for testing your devices. It's really for testing, because charging these things up without any info is like driving a car without a speedometer. You know, you're guessing. You're guessing it's working. So here we go. 5 volts. So this one can go up to 8 volts. I've not really seen anything. I'm sure there is things with 8 volts, but from what I've seen, the newer phones are going, instead of 5 volts, they can go up to 12 volts. And so you probably need a new one of these for to deal with the maximum loads that things can do now. Probably a new one you would need, I don't know, I'm just guessing, 20 volts maximum, and ampage, I don't know, it's 10 amps, maybe even more. But it's a good thing you have around the house. The other good thing you have is to get an app on your phone, something like a battery reborn widget, a battery charge app, so you can look and see. And you wouldn't even need this if you had an app, because you'd be able to see in your phone, you'd be able to get a really good idea if it's going at fast charge or not. But when it comes to fast charge, don't forget the cable. You need fast charge cable. You need a charger that can do fast charge, and a device. So if you get a device that can do fast charge, and this can only do 5 volts, that's all you'll get. If it can only do 5 volts and 1 amp. So if it could only do 5 watts, which is a minimum things can do. Some cables nowadays are C to C, you know, to charge. But you could just buy a net type A connector, but I'm sure you can get these now with type C inputs. Here I'm charging my earbuds. They take up tiny amounts of current. It'll be probably 5 volts for sure. Especially because it's cheap earbuds. I don't know about dearer ones. Type A and that. Yeah. 0.3 amps. So like 3 watts or something. 5 times 0.3. Well, 5.2 times 0.3. That's volts. Blue is volts. Red is amps. And here I'll charge a torch. And I'll check. I'm checking while it charges. I hate these type B connectors. Here it goes. Wrong way. .1 volts, 5.18 volts, 0.44 amps. Red is current, blue is volts. Yeah, these kind of things, they're just low power things. It's really for things like phones and tablets and laptops. Probably this particular USB detector will be a bit outdated, because the power that they things can go at, I won't be able to think, man, this will be maxed out at 8 volts or 3 amps. But it's a USB detector is a good thing to have around the house while we're still using them.